Reporter of the New World, the Bishop Grady, let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you check out blackfilesnews.com. That's news with a Z at the end. If you actually want to support the movement, keep this thing going, go ahead and view the content on there, run the numbers up. And you also got merch, you got DVDs, you got music, you got advertisement deals. So definitely go check that out. Support us. We continue to support y'all, giving y'all this real. Now, Senate Republicans, as was expected, went ahead and blocked the For the People Act. Now, the For the People Act is something that's posed as a bill that will actually restore the rights and protections granted by the 1965 Voting Rights Act, which was gutted out back in 2013 by the Supreme Court. It would actually restore those and expand those rights, but the Senate Republicans are not having it, and they basically use, filibuster tactics to make sure that the bill doesn't even motion through. So it's bringing up more demands from Democrats to end the filibuster. Biden, Bernie Sanders, they're gonna vow to protect voting rights on a federal level, but right now, keep in mind, the Republicans been trying to come at voting access on the state level as well throughout the country. So, of course, it seems like there's a partisan agenda going on right here. But, what do you think? Green War and graduation. What other the world, the Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So over there in Ethiopia, you actually have in the Tigray region dozens of people being killed after an airstrike took place. A bomb was dropped on a whole market on Tuesday afternoon. So reports are showing that, or healthcare workers are actually saying that Ethiopian military blocked several ambulances from even getting to the place. And mind you, this is thousands of people in the Tigray region of Ethiopia have actually been killed ever since the region was invaded by the national government, basically, the Ethiopian military, with the help of Eritrea. Keep in mind that over the last few years they had war and had actually made peace recently, but now they're ganging up on their own interstate. So it's very interesting what's going on over there. A lot of lives at stake. You got aid groups saying that millions of people are at risk of famine, and there's been report of war crimes, including sexual violence. Green War and graduation. Report under the world, the Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So over in Japan, they've actually opened their first nuclear reactor, or restarting their first nuclear reactor power plant in over 3 years. Now, this has people on edge, you know what I'm saying? You got people that are just straight up oppositions to Japan even having nuclear power and managing nuclear energy. But you got some people that are just genuinely scared from what happened a decade ago. Back in 2011, some of you may remember there was a 9.0 magnitude earthquake that triggered a tsunami that then triggered a nuclear power meltdown at the Fukushima nuclear plant. And overall, 20,000 people died from this scenario. Energy experts are saying that Japan as a government, they haven't learned or taken the lessons that they were supposed to take from that. So based on, I guess, maybe how they're handling the infrastructure and what they've been doing in the STEM fields, but you still have residents to this day displaced from that situation. Green War and graduation. Report of the New World, the Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So down south, you actually have the United Nations calling out the president of Nicaragua, Daniel Ortega, and his government for basically cracking down on political oppositions ahead of the November elections that they have. You're talking about at least 15 people have been arrested in this past month, including 5 presidential candidates. So, and it's looking like Ortega is going to run for a 4th presidential term. So, the heat is coming down on the country. You got the Mexico and Argentina both withdrawing their ambassadors. So when a country withdraws their ambassador, either they feeling some heat, you know what I'm saying? It's typically something like that going on, unless there really is some sort of an emergency back home for whatever reason. But that's what the ambassador's job to do, is to go out there and hold that bridge up, metaphorically. But nevertheless, with Nicaragua, you also have Joe Biden having instituted sanctions against 4 Nicaraguan officials and Ortega allies. So they mean business. You actually got this guy from Human Rights Watch, the organization Human Rights Watch, Jose Miguel Vivanco, that was basically saying they're calling on the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres to basically bring this information to the United Nations Security Council about what is going on in Nicaragua, not just about the abuses and the flagrant violations of fundamental in human rights, but also about what it means for the region and from the point of view of the refugees who've had to flee. So it's real over there. Green War and Graduation. Report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So over the weekend in Mexico, you actually had a series of shootings that resulted in 15 people dead. Most of them being said to be bystanders, but this happened in the city of Reynosa, which is actually right across from McAllen, Texas. So it's a northern border city, and it's actually an area that's known to have drug cartels in it. So you have this shooting going on. It was a series of shootings. It was believed to be some infighting. So a lot of innocent bystanders. 4 of the alleged shooters were also killed. And you have the top prosecutor for the state of Tamaulipas actually saying that he believes it was infighting between members of the Gulf cartel where that actually took place. But you know, it's a lot of drug cartel violence in Mexico in general. You know, you got thousands, tens of thousands who've actually died from the U.S.-backed war on drugs in Mexico. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. But the president has actually called for an investigation into it. Green War and Graduation. This report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So you got the Committee to Protect Journalists. This is an organization that pretty much does exactly what's in its name on an international level, right? Because there's a lot of governments that try to strong arm the media. You know, media is very powerful. And in the U.S., they say it's the 4th branch of government, right? So you understand the need and the necessity to protect the media because the people in the media, because governments see value in making sure that they tell the narrative that they want to be told, right? So all that in mind, anyway, Committee to Protect Journalists actually said that Israel needs to investigate this bombing that happened at Arab-Israeli journalist Hassan Shalan's home last week. Now, he writes for YNet out there, and he survived the attack. However, it is said that that was the 3rd Arab-Israeli journalist in Israel to actually have been attacked in the past month. Green War and Graduation. Report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So the United States government has actually seized dozens of domains that are actually linked to Iran, including PressTV.com, which is like a popular English language site, you know? So they also seized channels linked to Yemen and to Iraq. Now, you got people that are looking at this like, wow, if this was done to U.S. media in other countries, this would be seen as an act of war. So something to think about, but government seems like they don't want any sort of maybe terrorism. You know they're going to blame terrorism, you know what I'm saying? But is that the truth, though? Is that why? Green War Graduation. Report out of the world, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So the Spanish government has actually allowed for a pardon to the separatist leaders of the Catalan separatist movement. Basically, this is a movement back in 2017 that the Spanish government had cracked down on. People who were basically trying to create the Catalan as a separate state, and you had Catalan's parliament making an official declaration of independence, and there were referendums and all of that. So they cracked down on this, and these leaders actually got in prison. Well, you know, so they actually got pardoned. A day later, they are now being released. So this pardon actually applies to the people that stayed in Spain, and you know, some leaders won't even still be allowed to hold any public office, and still that ban still holds intact. However, the pardon does not apply to people who fled the country. So you have Pere Aragonés, the president of the government of Catalonia, actually saying that, you know, this is proof that the sentences were unjust, and you know, he's still calling for amnesty and right to self-determination. Green War and Graduation. Reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So you have an international coalition of over 200 groups calling on President Biden and the Biden administration to end permanently this so-called global gag rule, which actually prevents non-profit organizations from around other countries from receiving United States funds if they actually perform abortions or give people any game or any counsel on abortions at all. So this actually was something that Biden had actually rescinded but meaning he took it back, but however, it still is able to be reinstated in future Republican administrations. So people trying to get rid of that so it won't rear its ugly head again. We'll see how that turns out. Green Wall on graduation. Reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So the New York Times actually reported that the 4 of the Saudi men that actually abducted and killed Jamal Khashoggi, who was actually a Washington Post journalist that had fled Saudi Arabia, actually. And then this killing actually took place in the Turkey consulate back in 2018. Man, they yapped him up, and then they ended up chopping his body up. And reports show they went and burnt them pieces in the furnace. You know what I'm saying? So they did him dirty, and he worked for the Washington Post, a whole live journalist in the United States. Well, it turns out that the 4 of the Saudi men who did that abduction were actually trained in the U.S. by State Department approved paramilitary security forces. You actually have a Tier 1 group is the name of the security firm, which is actually owned by a private equity firm, Cerberus Capital Management. Green Wall graduation. For the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So you got the Biden administration actually saying that anybody who was kicked out of the country and forced to be deported from Trump's Remain in Mexico policy. This was the policy, for those who don't know, that actually had people who were migrating into the country trying to get asylum being forced to remain in Mexico, like on detention centers around the borders and all of that or whatever, often considered really dangerous conditions because you around the cartels and a lot of hot shit going on around there or whatever. And they were forced to remain there while they waited the U.S. courts to decide on their immigration status or whatever. And the Biden administration has made it to anybody who was under that policy ended up being deported can actually revive their asylum cases. So BuzzFeed says that a lot of these people were denied their asylum because of missing court cases because the travel conditions were too dangerous. Some others were actually kidnapped by cartels, got sick, or even were denied entry into the country because they were pregnant. So keep that in context. Green Wall on graduation. Reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So even as you have the Biden administration actually allowing for asylum seekers who were expelled from the country under Trump's Remain in Mexico policy, like being forced to remain in Mexico, then ended up getting kicked out because some weird shit happened with the U.S. courts and your asylum trial and all of that or whatever, like allowing for them to revive their asylum cases is pretty big. But you still have immigrant justice advocates coming at the Biden and the Biden administration for still like expelling migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border today. And you have a group called Human Rights First. They actually tracked and found 3,250 incidents of kidnappings and other attacks like violent armed assaults, rape and shit, like heavy shit against migrants and asylum seekers since Biden took office, who've actually been expelled from the U.S. at the U.S.-Mexico border. So, it's a dire situation for some of these people that are trying to get into the country. Green Wall and graduation. Reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So, Interior Secretary Deb Haaland, this is actually the first Native American to actually hold the secretary position in the U.S. government, for the record. She actually announced on Tuesday that the Interior Department is going to investigate the impact on government-run schools that actually forced assimilation on Native American students. So this actually is something that is requiring them to also investigate and look into burial sites at these assimilation boarding schools. So this is apparently a history. Keep in mind that last month I told y'all how up in Canada there was a Catholic Indian reservation school where they found 215 bodies, the remains of 215 bodies so what this basically means, it suggests is that they were killing students who Native American children who weren't assimilating, who weren't getting with the white program, basically. So Deb Haaland, to paraphrase what she said, she's basically like, she comes from a family that experienced those horrors, that were carried out by the department that she now runs. You know, because these schools were managed by the Interior Department. So, you know, to actually investigate the impact and the generational impact on these schools, we have to shed light on these traumas. You know, and she's damn right. Green Wall Graduation. For the other New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. So you actually have Nicole Hannah-Jones, Pulitzer Prize winner, the creator of the 1619 Project, you know, professor at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, actually said that she will not be returning to the university next month without tenure. Now keep in mind, she says that she was denied tenure due to essentially political interference, and that she, you know, she's gonna stand her ground basically. And her denial of tenure, which she was up for and overly qualified for, received a lot of sharp criticism from fellow academics, from sponsors, and all of that shit. So you know what I mean? It's a big deal. She's part of why the 1619 Project and all of that she did with the New York Times is part of why there's this talk about critical race theory, and why these Republicans went into a frenzy and trying to get it out of the school systems that it's not even in. This is like college level type course, first of all, and then second off, it's definitely needed. But the fact that there was this movement to actually eradicate it from the K through 12 system, it just shows how gullible the Republican base is to some of these Republican demagogues that use racism to fuck you up. You know what I'm saying? Stay woke, y'all. In that MAGA, you know what I mean? This is an olive branch. Stay woke, y'all. Green Wall Graduation.